Hello, and welcome back to a new art video. I am Naomi, my channel is Naomi's Ellipses, and today we're going to talk about lighting. Lighting is very important. It can make you look menacing or make you look somewhat prettier or simply at the police station. But in any case, lighting is important. And my favorite is a pool lit at night. I don't know, I guess I'm a city girl or something. But this lighting inspired me a character, and I named it the Goddess of the City Night. And she's gonna be heavenly lit by the pool. I have never painted that lighting before, so please wish me good luck. But before we go, please consider subscribing. And I would love it if you can like it and share. Okay, let's go. This time, the painting is going to be a little bit different than usual because there will be a character. I had a more or less precise picture in my mind, and for this time, I didn't want to disappoint myself. So I took some time sketching that character. First, I let my hand be free and just draw the shapes that I was seeing in my head. And with time, the sketch refined itself. And once I had the final character, I was ready to sketch the background. Because I'm so much more used to drawing backgrounds, that sketch didn't take as long. But there were one more step before starting the final painting. It makes a while that I haven't done that, but I wanted to put a mood board together. Again, I love this lighting, but it was the first time I was painting it, and I needed a lot of references. Now that everything was put in place, I felt ready to start on the final painting. I first started by copy and pasting my previous sketch onto the canvas. Then it was time to do, let's say, a cleaner sketch. A sketch with proper perspective. I debated for the longest time on the position of the goddess. I didn't know if I needed to put her dead center or just a slightly bit off center. Because I think there's a certain optical illusion with the tree in the foreground, making the goddess look kind of off-centered even when she is dead-centered. Honestly, after debating for so long, I totally forgot what I decided to do. Once all the preparations were finally over, it was time to start on the real deal. Because I wanted to nail the lighting, I started by laying down the base colors. And once I nailed the base color and that I wouldn't have to change them ever again, I added the details. I added the shadows, the highlights, the texture. This is the step that I enjoy the most, for sure. But it also has tendency to overwhelm me. So what I do is that I take very often some breaks. But first I start to lay down the main gradients. As you can see, I start with the tree and then the cement near the pool. And just to have a better idea of what the painting is gonna look like. Then I move on even smaller details and focused on the grass area. I wanted my grass to sparkle in the moonlight, so I took my time. And because of this, I have a 50-minute long clip of me painting grass. I might not touch the grass, but I for sure did paint it. I then move on to the concrete tiles next to the pool. I really wanted to recreate the concrete texture that I did in my Exploding Kitten the Show video. But I don't think I really managed this time. So if you came to watch this video for my concrete painting ability, sorry, I failed you. I added some light to the pool. And finally, something much more organic, painting the trees. This one is much more relaxing than all the other stuff I've done so far, because there's not really any restriction. Perspective doesn't really matter, and honestly, if I draw a leaf this way instead of the other way, who is gonna realize that? But okay, this entire video is about that pool lighting, yet we haven't done a lot of pool painting. It is time. I am not gonna lie, I do think it is the part I had the most difficulties with. I simply started by adding glows to the pool lights, and then tweaked the shadows of the pool to finally add a transparent layer of water on top. Then I added shadows to that layer, and I added the light reflecting on this layer. I am somewhat happy with the outcome. Did you think I was going to do an entire background without having some type of city in it? This is not knowing me well. So I quickly put together a city. Okay, last thing before we start painting the goddess. Do you remember at the very beginning when I said that I would not have to change the base colors? Yeah, well, at the very end, I wasn't really happy with the lighting. So I tweaked the color until I found something that I preferred. And finally, I was ready to start on the goddess. It is finally time to paint the goddess of the city night. I wanted her to be a void. I wanted her to have some types of galaxy, and she would be twinkling and shimmering in the night. I knew I was going to do some comping on it. The definition of comping is going to come later. So I also had to think about that. But pretty much what I did is painting the shape of the goddess of the city night, and then painting galaxies and stars inside of her. Not much to say, so how about I tell you a little bit about the lore. You can feel her only once in the day, when the sirens murmur and your loneliness shouts. The higher percentage you are offering her, the more of your day's deceptions she's going to drink. And sometimes, when she's having a bad night, she will send her noisy army to make sure that you are staring at her endless void. She might seem daunting at first, but when you stop for a while and wait with her for her sister, she will whisper to you her best ideas to share. She will show you her best shimmering veil and let you wish on one of her red twinkling stars. At the end of the day, she's only here to sing her best lullaby, hoping that we will applaud her in our best dreams. Okay, let's move on to the comping. Okay, let's talk a little bit about compositing. What is compositing? I would summarize it as making a scene more cohesive. For example, look at this book. The French-speaking Swiss might have some flashback. But anyway, if you look at this book, it is darker the further away it is, and becomes lighter the closer it gets. and that is compositing. This book is a simple PNG. There were no animation, no darker fill, nothing. I had to add that myself. And many other detail in this scene. For example, the camera shake. The book started behind the tree. And of course, the animation of the book coming closer to us. Let's see in real speed. Okay, that might have been the worst explanation I've ever given. But hopefully you understood a little bit better. Now, I didn't add much. I just added some movement to the water. I added some movement to the train of the goddess. And of course, I made the star twinkle. There's also a little bit of a twinkle in the skies, but we barely see it. I wanted to add some more, such as like plane or helicopters, but I ran out of time. But yeah, that's about it. Let's go see the results. But before we go, please consider subscribing, and if you like the video, like and share. Okay, let's go.